Watcher leaves YouTube. I have to confess, as someone who doesn't watch that much YouTube, I hadn't watched them before, but it's a really interesting business move and something that I thought, Luke might have some thoughts to share. Watcher Entertainment, a media company founded 4 years ago by 3 former Buzzfeed creators, has officially announced they are leaving YouTube and beginning their own ad-free subscription streaming service, WatcherTV.com. According to the founders, they have found themselves increasingly split between creating the content that their fans want and creating the content that appeals to advertisers and to YouTube's algorithm. Further, they've been dealing with a tension between the costs necessary to maintain television-like artistic standards and the financial model that is required to thrive on YouTube. Their hope is that switching to their own streaming service will allow them to build a more sustainable business and rely less on advertisers. The site went live today. It's currently priced at $6 a month or $60 a year, and they're offering 30% off the first year. I assume that might be a typo here. For anyone who subscribes before May 31st, as well as the opportunity to vote on which previously canceled Watcher series should be revived. This is an interesting move. Mm-hmm. I think they're doomed.
Yeah, me too. I think it was literally last WAN show where I gave my 5 websites statement, which is my theory on this, I'll try to keep it short, is that roughly everyone has roughly 5 websites each that they go to. It's not the same 5 websites for everybody, but most people have a few websites that they go to and pretty much nothing else. And if you leave that sphere for people, you're gone. And you can sort of exist in both. You can have a foot outside. I suspect, the vast majority of the Linus Tech Tips audience doesn't go to Floatplane all the time. The Floatplane subscribers do, sure, but we're on YouTube. So our visibility doesn't go away. People still know that we exist. But by completely leaving the YouTubes, the Reddits, the whatever, things like that, Facebooks of the world, by leaving those entirely, your discoverability goes away.
Now, they are planning to upload, I think they were saying the first few videos of a given series on YouTube, but then the idea, I guess, is they're paywalling the rest of it. So kind of if Netflix just uploaded the first episode of every series to YouTube.
That's a better idea than I thought it was, but
I still think that this is going to be an incredible challenge. I mean, we struggle with all the same things. How do we balance increasing production values? Tough. How do we balance? And I do think that it's a little bit misleading to, whether it's our notes or their feelings or whatever. I do feel that it's not quite right to say that you have to fight between, or you're torn between what the algorithm wants and what the audience wants, because the algorithm and the audience are one and the same-ish, because the algorithmic audience is the broader audience. Whereas I think that if I were to say my audience, right? Who would I be thinking of? Would I be thinking of a random flyby who happens to come across one of our videos one time, gets engaged with it, watches that video, and then never watches another LTT video? No, I wouldn't think of that person as my audience. I would think of that person as my algorithmic, person that YouTube managed to serve this thing to, right? They're not my audience. When I think of my audience, I think of the WAN show viewers. I think of the people who are actually enabling notifications on their phone and clicking on them when they come up, which, by the way, is very small, in case you guys were curious. I wanted to make a video about that for a while. I even came up with the title, "You Won't Click This Notification." Because they won't. It's like a fraction of a percent or something like that. It's absolutely minuscule. Anyway, so there's different ways to define my audience. And so in that sense, if I were to talk about the differences between what the algorithm wants and what my audience wants, it makes sense. And I think that's what they're talking about. But the danger of catering to this one, catering to my audience, catering to you guys with the mainline content versus catering to you guys with the WAN show on a weekly basis where we really get to sit down and hang out. Catering to you guys with behind the scenes on Floatplane where we'll pull silly pranks on each other and you can kind of see the real personalities come out. We'll get deeper into, Tanner did a really cool video doing a deeper dive on that North Korean Wii U clone thing. That's the kind of stuff that we want to make and we understand that you guys want to see, but we can't infect the mainline content with that because that's our discovery funnel, right? We need that algorithmic audience. And if you're putting out, if you're casting fewer nets out into that sea of potential audience members, that audience, that core audience is going to decay. And, I've seen every reason under the sun for someone to cite that they're not going to watch anymore. I had someone tell me how disappointed they were that we built such a cheapskate computer for that person who begged for one. And that it really showed how not generous we were. It was hilarious because it came literally the day after we raised $100,000 for sick kids, right? A video they clearly didn't watch. Right? Imagine,
so cool, dude.
Imagine for a second if it had absolutely nothing to do with that and had everything to do with what I said, which is that we wanted it to be something good enough to really be a gaming PC worth going and getting, but not so good that they were going to get murdered on the way home. That was it. That was the imagine
a whole skit. Elijah gets stabbed in the back, I think.
Imagine for a second if the reason was just what I told
Elijah
you.
got stabbed. That's not the great part. Sorry, the skit was great.
Yeah. Sorry, where was I going with this? Right. I've been given every reason under the sun for someone to stop watching anymore. But the reality of it is, most of the time, it's that you've changed. You've moved on. I've probably changed too, but I suspect I haven't changed as much as you have in terms of the product that we're trying to upload. We're always trying to do things a little bit differently. We're trying to do them a little bit better, but the cold, hard truth is what's probably happened, and this is particularly understandable lately with tech, at least in the, on the gaming, PC gaming side, the traditional PC gaming side getting, kind of stagnant compared to what we're used to, kind of boring compared to what we're used to, right? That's probably the most honest reason that people have given me for not watching anymore. Man, if I had $1 for every time someone said they're not watching anymore because we're constantly making jokes and the juvenile humor, I'm sitting here going
we never did that in 2012.
Okay, buddy. Ever. Yeah, that's a new thing. That's a new thing.
If anything, it's probably gotten less, to be completely honest. Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe that's it. Maybe it's more jarring now.
Maybe.
I don't know. There's still a fair bit of it.
I doubt it. Yeah.
There's still a fair bit of it.
So I've done some poking around while we've been sitting here.
But anyway, okay. So hold on. Let me finish really quick. I'm sorry. So by not casting out nets to the algorithmic audience, right, the broader audience, you aren't replenishing the core audience, and that attrition is unavoidable. You can't watch the same TV show forever.
Yeah.
Think about it. You can't play the same video game forever.
One person in the audience is like, I've played StarCraft since I was born. And
we're not mostly wired like that.
Yeah.
And so I think that while this is something that could be very successful in the short term, they could convert a significant amount of their current core audience over to this paid platform. I worry. I mean, it's not like this isn't the kind of thing that we've dabbled in the past. We were as far as I can tell, the only relevant creator on Vessel.com. We built Floatplane, sweat, blood, and tears built Floatplane in an effort to create that sustainability.
Most of the creators on Vessel.com stopped kind of doing the early access thing, all this kind of stuff. We weren't the only relevant creator on the platform.
We were the only relevant creator to Vessel in terms of revenue.
Yeah.
Sorry, I should clarify.
Anyway, so I've done some looking around. Someone in the chat pointed out Dimension 20 is one of their products, but Dropout.tv, which I think was a really, really good call out of a channel that has done something similar. As far as my understanding goes, actually, I'm not even going to go there because I don't even know. But they do a really good job. They still get into the brain space on the main channels. They do stuff with shorts. And I think they might still release full videos here or there every now and again, but it's a funnel into Dropout TV for the most part. And as far as my understanding goes, they're very successful with this. They also have a very large amount of different shows, and shows with like very diehard dedicated audiences, which is exactly what you would need in order to do this. Murik says Dropout uses Vimeo as their backbone provider. Yes, and I think that's a good idea. I think that's how they should do that if they wanted to do this approach where it's one creator, one website. They want the thing. They should just use another service like Vimeo. Vimeo is a great solution there, and run it that way. Yeah, Dropout has a ton of different series, and they've been doing this for a long time. They're very well set up. Now, looking into it as well, it's like, okay, what external monetization does Watcher have? So first thing you look for is there are more links on their YouTube channel, and you can see Patreon. So, okay, let's go to their Patreon. If I can click things. Well, they've converted 1,200 members, which is very good conversion.
Very respectable.
They're doing a great job. They've got what looks like well fleshed out good tiers. We could maybe learn something from that. They do, they've got this is all Canadian dollars, so the $7.50 is probably $5. Looking at some form of standardization, it's probably $5 USD, 10 USD,
6 maybe. I don't know.
Maybe like 6, something around that. I don't know exactly. But they've got a good pricing range. They even have the like
whale
big crazy one.
Yep.
And they seem to be posting actively, so they can convert people to outside platforms. They can show that they have a very strong outside platform presence. One thing that they might unfortunately find is that Patreon is one of those websites that a lot of people go to. It might be harder to convert to a external platform non-Patreon funding website. I have looked into Watcher's website as well, watcher.tv, and this is also built with Vimeo as the video playing backend. Someone pointed out that Dropout was done that way. This one is also done that way. I don't remember how I determined that. I think it was this video. You can pretty easily tell this is the Vimeo player, but another fun thing to do is, like, let's just copy this URL and go to builtwith.com, and you just paste in the URL. And you can see like all the things that they're using. And if you scroll down a little bit to audio and video media, you can see Vimeo. So yeah, they're using Vimeo, which seems like probably a good idea for what they're doing. So they're doing a lot of things well from my judgment. I don't know what that matters, but I don't know. I wish them the best. I hope they do the thing that Dropout TV is doing, where they still sprinkle out content quite healthily and really start trying to grasp onto things like shorts, where they can try to convert people. Look, there's this really tasty little nibble from this video. You need to go over to this other site to watch it. Someone in chat said Rooster Teeth did it for a while, but then it just slowly went into obscurity. That's the risk. That's why this is terrifying. Rooster Teeth is not the only example that's happened to. It's just a really big name. But yeah, this is scary, but I wish them the best. I hope it goes well.
Yeah. I don't know, man. It's tough. And once you've Did
I say 1,200? Yeah, I meant 12,000. Sorry.
Yeah, once you've got an audience, it's it's something, but it's small. Like we've got 35,000 subscribers on Floatplane. We are one of the top Patreons, except we're not on Patreon.
Yeah.
We've been very, very successful at it, and still, in the grand scheme of things, guys, the revenue that we can generate on an audience that small, even directly as paying customers, it pales in comparison to the costs associated with hosting video. Hosting video through Vimeo is not cheap, and it pales in comparison to what you can generate more broadly through ads and sponsorships and all of those things on a platform like YouTube. I do. I worry about them. That's all. I mean, these aren't people that I know personally or anything like that, but I generally think the creator economy is pretty cool. I think of other creators as my fellow creators. These are people who have gone through a lot of the same struggles, a lot of the same challenges that we have, and I want nothing but the best for them. But I fear I fear for these kinds of moves. They can be, and I'm sure they feel it too, right? It can be scary because once you've left, it's not that easy to just come back.